Aston Villa fans must have a smile on their face today because that is a vital and huge 3 points in the race for Champions League football. Let me tell you something, this Champions League football is heating up. There's going to be plenty more twists and turns. And Aston Villa have got a strong chance of finishing in that top 5 because you've got to think Newcastle have still got Chelsea to play. Chelsea have still got Nottingham Forest to play. So they're going to be taking points off each other. But Aston Villa, they win all their games. I've got a sneaky feeling they can sneak back into those top 5s and get Champions League football. And they've just earned a massive 3 points off Fulham. And Aston Villa's home record this season is absolutely phenomenal. That's 17 unbeaten in the Premier League at home. But I think it's 20 in all competitions, including a win against PSG. Now, it hasn't been the best couple of weeks for you. You beat PSG, but still went out of the Champions League unluckily. You conceded a late goal at the Etihad, unluckily, if it wasn't for Disasi. And then you got absolutely pummeled, let's be honest, by Crystal Palace in the semi-final. But what a way to bounce back. The result was more important than the performance today. But I actually don't think Aston Villa were very bad. I don't think it was your best performance, but it certainly wasn't your worst, and you definitely deserved the win. But there's one guy I want to talk about, and I'm just going to talk about this guy in isolation before we talk about the game, because this guy has been absolutely sensational, and that is Youri Tielemans. Why doesn't he get the respect from other fans in other clubs of the Premier League? Because this boy, if he doesn't get in team of the season this year, I give up, because he has been Aston Villa's best and most important player. 1 goal today, 2 shots, 68 touches, 100% successful dribbles, 10 passes in the final third. And we're going to talk about this because some of the passes from all angles in different parts of the pitch he was delivering was absolutely huge. 3 accurate long balls, 100% tackle accuracy, 6 defensive actions, 5 ball recoveries, 5 ground duels won. Massive performance. He stepped up today for Aston Villa. Peter Crouch said something which just perfectly summed up Youri Tielemans. He's a player's player. What he means by that is when you've played the game, you understand what he brings. He can dictate play. He sets the rhythm. He knows when to slow the game down, quicken the game up. Might not have the explosive power that some players do. Might not be as skillful as some players. But the technical ability, the awareness of this boy, the understanding of games and patterns of play is absolutely phenomenal. So he deserves these flowers because he was absolutely everywhere today. And that just sums him up. Literally touching the ball in every single third, making a difference in every single third, whether that be offensively, defensively. He is absolutely outstanding. And he's having an outstanding season because he's now equaled his best ever season for goal contributions. 1 more, and he's had his best ever season in terms of goal contributions for Aston Villa. 3 goals, 7 assists for Youri Tielemans this season. But there's a couple of players I want to talk about today. I think Konza, he's been your best centre-back. Even when he plays at right-back, let's just say he's been your best defender because, again, he was sensational today. What I love about Konza, you can rely on him in every single moment, whether that be going out engaging. He's got the ability to be aggressive, whether that be keeping up, running behind and sweeping up for through balls, or whether that be defending wide areas. He's comfortable doing that, and I love that in a player when they've got that versatility and haven't got a major weakness. That's Konza. I think he's absolutely terrific. I thought Matty Cash was good today. I think what Ian Maatsen brings over Lucas Digne is that pace. He looked phenomenal today, and I thought Morgan Rogers was back to his best. So we are going to break down some of the game, and I'm going to speak about what I like about Aston Villa and why I enjoyed watching them, because we're going to start with the goal. This is just a goal. It comes from a corner. I think it was about the 12th minute, 13th minute. This set the tone. This eased everybody in the crowd and probably eased the players as well. And I actually think Aston Villa took control and dictated this game. I don't think Fulham really troubled Aston Villa, but it was a brilliant goal from Youri Tielemans. Something he doesn't do very often, to score headers. So I was quite happy for him because he's adding a little bit more to his game. He's so good, man. I love watching Youri Tielemans, and I thought, I'm going to say it again, today was just sensational. But let's start with this, because this is what Youri Tielemans brings. Here, there looks like there's no danger. You got 2 against 3. There's players running behind, but Fulham have got cover. But Youri Tielemans can find a pass and can break lines from any part of the pitch, and this absolutely proves it. It's a beautifully weighted pass for Ollie Watkins. Not many players see and can execute this pass like Youri Tielemans. He does it, but it's good positioning by Bert Leno, who actually comes out and receives the ball. But when you look at where the ball's placed, he's put it perfectly for Ollie Watkins to run onto. Bert Leno, that's great goalkeeping because he anticipates it well and covers up. But the weight of the pass, if he continues to do this, not many keepers will be able to read that. And time again, Ollie Watkins will get in on goal. This is the quality that Youri Tielemans brings. What I love, it looks like he can just slow the game down. Looks like he can just run the game at his own pace, and then bang, he's put somebody in just in an instant, in the flash of an eye, in the blink of an eye, somebody's in on goal. So he's got that ability just to impact the game suddenly, and that's what I love about Youri Tielemans, man. To sign him on a free is absolutely ridiculous. What a footballer he is. But then we'll come back to Ollie Watkins, and he missed a couple of chances today, and this was a great delivery, and then Ollie Watkins should be finishing that. Ollie Watkins last season finishes that. Now I actually think he's a little bit, the confidence has been sucked out of him a little bit, and that's probably because he hasn't been starting games, so he feels second choice. When you're starting games and you're the main man, everything just comes natural. When you've got to try and impress and you get given an opportunity to impress, overthink things, you try and do things that don't come natural. Now that finish would naturally come to Ollie Watkins, but I just think the lack of confidence and the overthinking of things, how to position himself, how to get his feet right, just little things like that make this happen, where you just hit the ball, just it goes under his feet more than anything. Lack of concentration, lack of confidence, and probably overthinking the situation when really he could let it hit his left foot just with a little bit of angling on it, and it goes in the back of the net. So Villa really should have been 2 up. And this was another opportunity where I actually love Ollie Watkins' position in here. And I often say this about strikers. I don't mind my striker missing chances. The time I get worried about strikers is when they're not getting in opportunities. Ollie Watkins is getting himself in the right positions. Yes, strikers will dip in and out of form, but as long as you're getting yourself in the right positions, that's when the form will return. As soon as your striker stops getting into good positions, that's when you start to worry, because you're thinking he's not getting in the positions to even score the opportunities. If he's getting in the positions and missing opportunities, eventually it will come. But it's a beautiful pass from Morgan Rogers. And then, in truth, Ollie Watkins should score. So Ollie Watkins should have had 2, maybe 3 this game, and probably because he's 1 away from being Aston Villa's all-time top goal scorer. So again, that's probably playing on his mind. He's probably not thinking it in the moment, but it just makes him overthink situations. And that's what I'm talking about. Once that goal comes, I'm sure there will be a lot more coming. Now, this image is Aston Villa at its absolute best. This is ideally what Unai Emery wants. This setup, and it's absolutely perfect. We often talk about Aston Villa's left winger being narrow, but also the right winger staying high and wide to create that space. But look at the beautiful overloads Aston Villa have created in that midfield. That box shape between Kamara, Onana, and I think it's Jacob Ramsey and John McGinn. Or it might be Ross Barkley, one of the two. But it's absolutely beautiful. And they just play through Fulham like a knife through butter, like a hot knife through butter. It's just 1-2 give and goes. And then what I want to talk about is Donyell Malen, because his positioning is so clever. At the start of this, when Kamara had the ball, Donyell Malen was offside. Now, the reason why strikers want to go offside when they're not involved in the build-up is so the defenders have no idea where they are. You'll often see, if you go to a game, and you might not see it on TV, but if you go to a game, you'll often see strikers standing offside when the ball's like in the middle third. The reason they do that is so they can get onside at the right time, and then they can make the run off the last man. So it's very clever from Donyell Malen. At this moment, when Kamara had the ball before he played it in Onana, he was offside. He just drifts back onside in between the fullback and the centre-back, which is perfect. And he's literally acting like the perfect striker right now, because once they break the line, played into Ross Barkley, he sets it back to Jacob Ramsey, and then he plays through Donyell Malen like this, and it is absolutely excellent stuff from Aston Villa. This is literally Unai Emery what he wants. This is perfect and beautiful football from Aston Villa. And I actually think Daniel Malen has been unbelievable since he's arrived at Aston Villa every time he's been given an opportunity. I'm very surprised he hasn't been given more minutes because he can produce moments like this. Let's just look at this sequence again, because honestly, I love stuff like this, where you create that box shape in the middle to create the overloads. So as soon as Fulham's guys go to press, you can break the lines, and then either Ross Barkley can turn on the ball, but he sees Bassi coming towards him, so he just lays it off to, and that's your overload. Literally, Fulham could not win the ball at any moment in there, and Aston Villa just literally played through them so beautifully. And they were doing this time and time again. This is how they were opening up Fulham, and this is what I'm talking about, moving the opposition out of their natural position, making them go in areas where they don't feel comfortable, because Aston Villa have created an overload in the middle. It's made Bassi come out of his natural position. He would normally be marking Daniel Malen, but it's made him go and close the ball, so he's went towards Ross Barkley, who's just literally packed him out the game by playing it to Jacob Ramsey, and that's opened up the space to then play to Daniel Malen. This is Aston Villa at their best. Beautiful, beautiful football. So unlucky from Daniel Malen, who hits the crossbar. Aston Villa could have had 2 or 3 on the day. This game could have finished 2 or 3-0. Now, there is one thing I want to talk about, and it is a negative, and I felt like if Fulham were going to score, it was only because of Aston Villa lack of concentration. This is what I mean, where this doesn't look like danger, but Morgan Rogers doesn't follow his man. Now, this allows Fulham to create the overload, because what they do is have a runner, which is, I think it's Bassi running in behind, and he gets into this position, and then the header is straight at Martinez. But it's just little lapses of concentration, tracking your runners, doing the hard stuff. Morgan Rogers usually does this very, very well, but in this moment, he didn't. And this is what I would be looking to try and just improve slightly, so you can stop the opposition creating these openings where they do get a free header, which goes straight at Martinez, and it's a comfortable save at the end, but against better, maybe a more clinical finisher, might not be so comfortable. So there was just little moments throughout the game where Fulham weren't really troubling Aston Villa, but there were signs that against a better, more confident opposition, that they could have opened Aston Villa up. But I just thought Aston Villa were comfortable throughout the 90 minutes. I really don't think Fulham troubled them at all, and what a way to respond to a 3-0 defeat in a semi-final of the FA Cup. They would have had a lot of pressure to win this game from their fans, and they've done that. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, it's not about the performance this late stage of the season. It's all about the points, and this is why. Now, this is a graphic from yesterday. So Man City have beaten Wolves, Aston Villa have beaten Fulham. So Aston Villa go 11 on points, with Chelsea and Nottingham Forest on 60. So, but they've played a game more. Now, look at Aston Villa's fixtures. Bournemouth away is a tough game. A lot of teams have struggled at Bournemouth away, but if you can get a result there, that's absolutely huge, because it's very likely Spurs and Man United are going to meet in the Europa League final. So they won't care about these games against Aston Villa. All their focus, their concentration, their effort levels will go on the Europa League final. So actually, Aston Villa on paper might look like they've got a difficult run of games, but when you break it down, look at the underlying factors, actually you've got a very, very good opportunity of getting 9 points out of those last 3 games. Now, the other teams, they've still got to play each other, because Chelsea and Forest still play each other. Chelsea and Newcastle still play each other. Newcastle haven't won at Brighton in the Premier League, so I'm not confident going to Brighton. And then I'm not confident going to Arsenal either, because if they get knocked out by PSG, they're going to want to win that game, because they're going to still want to finish second. The only game I'm really confident about is Everton at home in the last game of the season, because Chelsea have picked up slightly. They're starting to find a little bit of more form. So look, it's still all to play for. There's going to be plenty more twists and turns in this Champions League race. It's so exciting. Even if my team doesn't get it, I love this kind of stuff in football. This is what football is all about. Just competing against the best and make it competitive. And that's what we like. So Aston Villa fans, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I hope you qualify for Champions League football alongside Newcastle United, of course. But again, let me know your thoughts in the below on Youri Tielemans. Should he be in team of the season? Should he even be player of the season? Let me know your comments in the below. But until next time, up the Villa.